What's going on, everybody? Joshua Tree back with another video. I've been doing some pondering. I've been doing some reflection, especially with this whole Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde. If you believe in those type of things. Been doing a lot of deep introspection, and I wanted to make a video on relationships. Um, Someone such as myself, I've experienced betrayal in relationships. I experienced heartbreak in relationships, and I gained a lot of wisdom from it. So I kind of want to get into this a little bit because I know that at the end of the day, all of us want to have a healthy, thriving relationship. But the way I see it is that none of us has been taught how to have a healthy, thriving relationship, and also we haven't been taught what the fuck is a relationship. Like the concept that's been given to us has been given to us by society of what a relationship is, and that shit don't work. You know what I'm saying? So this is what the video is going to be about today. I'm gonna be talking about, you know why do relationships fail, and to get a little bit more deeper and have a different understanding, a different perception towards your relationships, right? So before we get into that video, I want to also share with you guys that I am doing a spring sale on my services, specifically my intuitive breakthrough session. So that's for anybody who need any support with coaching. It's a quick hour and 30-minute session. Anything that you have problems with, you could come to me with, and I'll help come up with solutions and help guide you through whatever it is that you're currently going through right now. So right now it is 20% off. So the total price for that would be 177. The total investment would be 177. So if you're interested in that, please send me a message, and I will leave my website link in the description. All right, so let's just get into it. All right, so let's just talk about this shit for a minute before we get into the juiciness of the juice. What is a relationship in today's world? What is a relationship? Because I feel like, from a high divorce rates to, you know, things have changed a lot. All right. The roles and the gender roles, and, this whole men versus women thing is just so much crazy shit going on. What I've realized over the years why we suffer from a lot of relationship issues is because we have not been given a blueprint. None of us know what it is to exactly to do to have a healthy relationship. We're only going off our past experiences, what our mama taught us, what our daddy taught us, what we learned on reality shows, TV shows, friends, family, society. You know what I'm saying? Like, we really don't have an actual blueprint. So we're kind of winging it. So when you think about relationships, we're kind of all a freestyling it. We hope, right? We hope, we have great intentions that the relationship will prosper and do well, but we really don't have like clear evidence of like, do this one particular thing and it will support you throughout your whole journey, right? So many things happen in a relationship and we are not equipped to know how to deal with it, right? um the perception, the concept of, relationships is all about happiness. Relationships is all about two people falling in love, and drifting off into the ever crescent essence of the rose petals or whatever, poetry, romance. um don't get me wrong, those things are part of a relationship, but I feel like a relationship is very not only multi-dynamic, but it's so multifaceted. It's so many aspects to a relationship that keep a relationship thriving. In this particular video, I want to talk about one aspect of this multi-dynamic relationship that I feel that creates all of the conflict and all of the failure, let's just say, that can happen in a relationship. And so before I do that, I just want you guys to ask yourself, who taught you how to be in a relationship? Who taught you how to have a successful relationship? Where did you learn it from? Because wherever you learned it from, and if you have been applying what it is that whatever you learned that from, pay attention to your results and your relationships. That alone will let you know that whatever your mindset is towards your relationships is causing the disaster, is causing the failure, because whoever gave you this blueprint, it does not work. So you have to reevaluate, you have to readjust, you have to read, you have to study, you have to educate, find different ways to have healthier relationships, right? So, all that being said, let's take it to a different perspective, all right? And I'm going to also share a little chart with you guys to have more of an understanding. So, I want to start off with this quote: relationships is not about happiness, it's about transformation. And I'm leading off with this quote because I want you guys to really think about what is happening on a consistent basis when you're in a relationship. Yes, happiness is going to come, bliss is going to come, joy is going to come. You're going to have great intimacy with this person. You're going to have great laughs. You're going to travel. You're going to potentially have kids. You're going to get married. Those are all the pluses of a relationship. Now, let's talk about the negatives, quote unquote, of what also a relationship brings. A lot of the times, if not all of the times, it's us going through a relationship where we have to go through a lot of drama, right? A lot of conflict, a lot of trauma, a lot of triggers, a lot of defense mechanisms that's been activated, a lot of ego. Now, that particular part of a relationship, that's where we are ill equipped. That's where a lot of us be like, you know what? I'm throwing in a towel. I can't deal with this person, right? We have to understand that a relationship is based off of effort and ego dissolution. Surrendering your ego in the midst of being in a relationship is the prerequisite of having a long lasting relationship. So if you cannot say dismiss or dissolute your ego, then your ego will run the show and will completely sabotage the relationship. If you cannot apply full effort in a relationship, right? If you cannot allow yourself to discover parts of yourself that's blocking the relationship, then the relationship will fail. But you need to have both components to have a successful relationship. I find that a lot of times, and also with a lot of relationship counseling that I've done in the past, is that one or two of the partners is basically burnt out. They don't want to commit no anymore. They don't want to apply any more effort. The moment you stop applying effort, that's the moment that the relationship fails. And in terms of effort, what I'm referring to is you applying effort to aspects of yourself that is sabotaging the relationship, right? So we have to understand that when we're in a relationship, this is the part of ourselves that's going to be potentially triggered, and a lot of our unresolved emotions are going to come to the surface. So there is a thing that when, and I'm an advocate of this, that, for me personally, I had went through a heartbreak relationship in 2018, and for a year straight, I just basically focused on my healing. Well, actually, it was longer than that, but like, I was very intentional. I want to say for a year straight of just trying to figure out what was going on with me. And then, of course, when I got into a lightened space, I started to realize that there's this pattern that everyone does, where once they break up with somebody, they hurry up and rush and get into another relationship. And they never reflected. They never did any introspection. They never checked to see why did that relationship fail in the first place. And they're looking to hurry up and get another relationship. That is an unconscious habit that a lot of people do. And that is not a healthy habit, because whatever you did in that previous relationship, you need to grow from that. You need to learn from that. You need to gain wisdom from that. So when you get into your next relationship, now you know how to navigate yourself to have a healthier and prosperous relationship. If you don't learn from your mistakes, how are you going to be able to have a successful relationship? So it's a lot of times where we don't even do the inner work to try to understand what we did to contribute to the relationship for the relationship to fail. So that's just doing the self inner work. But also, right, you can heal yourself or work to heal yourself prior to a relationship. But those childhood traumas, right, those unresolved emotions really don't show itself until you get in a relationship. So you'll notice how, like, you'll be basically going through your self-healing journey. You don't get triggered by nothing. You feel very, strong-willed, self-reliant, emotionally stable. You that person, right? You that guy, right? But then when you get in a relationship, you get triggered in less than 5 minutes. You get in a relationship and you start to feel like this person is reminding you of your mom or your dad. You get in a relationship and you start to feel, inferior. You start to have all these insecurities. Prior to getting in a relationship, you didn't have all these problems. Why is it that when you get in a relationship, you start to have all these emotions come up? It's because a lot of the times the emotions that are embedded inside of us only stems from relationship connection. Okay. So, this is called relational trauma, where you have experienced some type of emotion from a caregiver, someone who's close to you, and that has changed your social dynamic, has changed your behavior patterns, has changed how you show up in the world towards communication and connecting with people. It only shows up in relationships. So this is why I said earlier, relationships is not about happiness; it's about transformation. Because when you get into connection with somebody, these are opportunities that's about to be available for you to start to do some healing work. So the foundation of relationships should be centered around transformation. Okay. So once again, this is where I see, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen through numerous occasions where the relationship starts to crash because both parties, if not both parties, one party, male or female, do not know how to navigate their internal world, and therefore they sabotage the relationship. We have to understand one thing about relationships is that you are having a relationship with that person's inner child, and that other person that you're interacting with is having a relationship with your inner child. Okay. So when you're in a relationship, you'll notice all the aspects of yourself that you did not receive as a child, all your needs that you did not receive as a child, all of your desires, things of that nature that did not happen for you. You ask your partner to fulfill it for you. So anytime you ask your partner, look, I have needs. What are your needs? Oh, I need to feel more validated. I need to feel more heard. I need to feel like you accept me for who I am. I feel invisible around you. I feel like you don't listen to nothing that I say. I just need you to validate me. I need you to be more attentive. I need you to, send me a message every day. I need you to make it seem like you are concerned about my well being. The other part of might say, yo, that's too much. That's too needy. But what the other person is really saying to you is, these are all my needs coming from my inner child, and I have not healed my inner child. And so this is what I'm asking for support. But what happens with this whole dynamic of what I'm explaining is that both parties don't know that their inner child is seeking this support. And so what the partner does is the partner says, you know what, that's too much, that's too needy. I can't provide all those things for you. You need to go see a therapist. Now, granted, yes, he or her needs to go see a therapist. But if both partners have an understanding that we can also help each other, support each other, because the vast majority of the time you're with your partner the whole entire time. If they can provide a safe space for emotional support and understanding and acceptance, the relationship itself can be extremely healing. So rather than focusing on all of the ego's needs of, oh, you haven't done this for me, you haven't done that for me, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, you focus on, okay, how can I support you with your transformation? How can I support you with your emotional needs? How can I support you with your childhood needs? All right. This changes the game when you start to look at it from this framework. The happiness, like I said, the joy, the bliss, that is a byproduct. You should not be getting into a relationship only to experience that. You should already be having that experience within yourself already. The person that you come into contact with, they just help amplify that. But that should already be a part of you to some degree. So a lot of us are going into relationships looking for this type of connection. And it's like, bro, the work is going to come first and foremost. That's going to stick out its ugly head. That's when people say, you know what, I can't do this no more, because you keep doing the same thing. You're not aware of your habits. You're not aware of your dysfunction behavior, and you're causing me to close up, to close down, to not trust you. And I just got to let this go. And that person may not realize that they have a lot of trauma that has created this dysfunction, that's created these reactions that they're having, and they're not aware of it. And that's what sabotages the relationship. So take a breath there. This is some sticky shit. Okay. This is some sticky shit. We have not been educated on how to support our partners or even how to support our own selves when it comes down to our own emotional work. We have not been educated on how to hold space for ourselves, so it's so it's somewhat difficult to hold space for our partners. You know what I'm saying? When we carry more of this foundation that relationships is based on transformation, we have a different approach. Every time you're in a relationship, you'll notice that everything is cool in the beginning, right? The honeymoon phase. What I highly suggest people do is discredit this. Don't even get into the honeymoon phase. Get into the shadow phase. Ask your partner, whoever you're potentially interested in, ask them, are they aware of their childhood trauma? Or are they aware of the dysfunctional behavior patterns? Are they aware of their coping mechanisms? Are they aware of their impulsive, behaviors? Might get angry all of a sudden, might have control issues. Ask them some deep ass questions. Don't be asking them shallow ass, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Don't do that. We've done that for years. We know we at the what you could get that in two messages, or you get that in one text message. You ain't gotta ask those questions. Ask deeper questions, because the shadow is gonna eventually come out in the relationship, and that's what's gonna sabotage the relationship. So rather than getting so involved in someone, you should ask to see what level of awareness do they have, and ask yourself if you're willing to support that, or you're willing to put up with that, or you're willing to accept that. A lot of times the reason why relationships also fail is because the lack of awareness. One or two or both partners they're not aware. They're just simply not aware. If you are not aware of your behavior patterns, you will sabotage the relationship every time. So this is the reason why relationships fail, is because there's a shadow aspect to it that a lot of us are not aware of, that is coming through, saying hello, saying hi, sitting on the sofa, and destroying every goddamn thing that it touches. Right? So relationships is about transformation, along with love, intimacy, passion, beautiful sex, intimacy. Those things come, but let's not just focus on that, because that completely goes away when you don't feel safe around your partner. Period. You could be with your partner for almost 5 years. When you start to feel those inner child wounds start coming up, and you start to feel like your partner can't support you, and you're feeling triggered every single time, you're going to start to feel unsafe around that person. And then you're going to close down, and then you're going to start to question, I think I want to give up this relationship. I highly encourage you to not give up the relationship. I highly encourage you to figure out in all of your magical power to address what is causing the constant disruption in your relationship. If you have a partner who doesn't want to take ownership and doesn't want to take accountability for their actions, and rather what they do is, instead of accepting their flaws, they deny it and deflect it and bring the attention back to you and deny what it is that you're sharing with them, gaslighting, however the term you want to utilize. Those type of people you want to get the fuck from. Only if they're willing to accept and work on those parts of themselves. If not, get the fuck from them, because they will never take accountability for what they got going on. And don't take it personal, because what they're doing is they're trying to protect themselves from a trauma that they carry that they're not aware of. So anytime someone's deflecting something to you, like deflecting what you're trying to, like if prime example, if I come to you and be like, oh babe, look, I see you do this thing and I realize that is very unhealthy. And if you are very defensive and you flip it and say, no, it's not me, it's you. You the one that leaves toothpaste in the sink. If they completely don't take ownership of it, don't take that personal. They're trying to protect the part of themselves that has been triggered, or I'm sorry, yes, has been triggered, and also is a emotional wound that they're trying to protect. All right. So what we about to do next is we about to get more into that. I'm going to share this chart with you guys to break it down even further.
What's going on, you guys? All right, so here's the chart I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm gonna break it down to you on based on how everything is. So we gotta understand one thing and one thing only. At the end of the day, all we want is love. This is the treasure, right? Everything that you're doing this whole entire existence is to experience love. So in relationships, that's all we want. That's all we want. We don't want nothing else. That's all we want to experience is this right here. This is what we want, right? But there's layers to get to this. Okay. So the first layer is childhood trauma. So as children, this is what we all experience as children, right? We have innately, we have love that is embedded inside of us. We have divine love that's embedded inside of us. When we have a childhood trauma, that creates a barrier, a layer that we protect, basically protect ourselves. So we don't really experience this as much anymore. This starts to shut down, or people who's trying to give us love, we have a hard time receiving it. So once the childhood trauma is experienced, the next layer is a defense mechanism. Okay, so now we're defending ourselves because we're trying to protect our childhood wounds because we don't want to experience childhood wounds again. We don't want to experience how that feels in the body. So we create a defense mechanism. And then the last layer is the ego. The ego acts out, and the ego is the one who is the protective self. This is the entity that carries this particular childhood trauma. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example of what all this looks like. Okay, so say for instance, you got someone named Bobby Ray. Okay, Bobby Ray was a person who loved love. That was their life. Okay, and as a child, they tried to share something very vulnerable with them. Their parent, caregiver, whoever rejected what they tried to what they tried to share with them. This rejection wound is a trauma. Okay, and what that has done for Bobby Ray is that has shut him down. So now he doesn't want to express anything that's vulnerable to him because he got rejected. Now, as a result of that, it created a defense mechanism. So now, as his defense mechanism, when he gets into relationships, he's doing either one or two things. He's going to be self rejecting himself, or he's going to reject other people. So, what does that look like? So, let's just say Bobby Ray experienced a rejection wound. When he's in a relationship, to not feel, because that's the whole thing, right? We don't want to feel our childhood traumas. We don't want to feel anything that feels hurt or painful in our body before they even get close to feeling the childhood trauma. They will reject their partners first. So what that would look is that would look like they'll be very dismissive. They'll be very, uninterested in you. They will put up this type of persona like they are so self-reliant and so stable that they are the prize winner. So it's all about self-preservation. Okay, once you get traumatized in any way, shape, form, or capacity, it's all about self-interest and self-preservation. So the person who received this rejection wound, they're going to put out this persona that you are the one that's flawed, and you are the one that might want to you might want to try to find ways to keep the relationship because they're going to be more on a wave of like, I could reject you anytime soon, or AKA I'll break up with your ass anytime I feel like it. That's the persona that they carry. So that will make the other partner feel unworthy or feel undesirable or feel like they're trying to prove themselves in a relationship because this particular person, which is a defense mechanism, like I said, is a defense mechanism. Bobby Ray has been rejected as a child. And so he's trying to protect himself from feeling that feeling again. So he will reject your ass before you reject him. Another side to it is you self reject yourself. So if you're in a relationship and you have narratives of, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty, I don't know why you want to be with me, I don't even know why you like the things that I like. If you have like this self, you know, negative image about yourself and constantly rejecting aspects of yourself due to your rejection wound, then what that's going to do to your partner is your partner's going to feel like, well, they're going to start to feel some of that energy of like unworthiness, and they're going to start to feel like, well, everything I do doesn't work because you're always rejecting yourself. You never, like, every time I tell you I love you, you say, but why? Or, I don't know why you love me. I don't even love me. Like, you just have so much negative narratives that it makes it hard for your partner to truly love you because you're coming from a childhood trauma. So self-rejection is you rejecting yourself. You're rejecting yourself to sabotage the relationship. Same thing with rejecting others. You reject you reject the relationship, or you reject the person to sabotage the relationship. At the end of the day, we still want love, but due to the childhood trauma and the defense mechanism that's created from the childhood trauma, we're not trying to experience rejection wound no more. So as a result, unconsciously, what we do is we reject people away, which creates the sabotage, or we reject ourselves, which creates the sabotage. You see how that work out? So the ego, right? This is the identity. This is the actor, the mental construct, the protector. It's on autopilot. So the ego just acts out the childhood trauma, the defense mechanism, and that's what you experience in relationships. So that's when a lot of people be like, oh, you're in your ego, you're in your ego. They're in their protective self, and they don't know that they're doing it. Okay, this is where forgiveness comes in, and this is where a little bit of compassion comes in. They don't know that that's what they're doing, because if they knew that's what they were doing, they would stop doing it. Even when they make you think that they know what they're doing, even if they make you think that they know that they're doing it, they don't know that they're doing it. And if they know that they're doing it, they're going to continue to do it because they don't want to feel the childhood trauma. They don't want to re-experience that. So the ego acts out. It's an actor. It acts out the defense mechanism, which is self-rejection or rejecting others. It is a mental construct. So what I mean by that is literally something that you have created. You created this altered version of yourself mentally, which we call a protector, to protect you, which is the ego ultimately protecting you. This is you. This is who you truly are. You're just pure love and ecstasy and bliss. You protect yourself from not experiencing these experiences. And so anyone outside of you, to defend yourself from being wounded again, or reliving a trauma, you're gonna reject, or you're gonna reject others, or you're gonna self-reject yourself to prevent yourself from being rejected first by the other partner. You don't want to experience externally that someone says, I don't accept you. So if you with your partner, you would never share nothing vulnerable with them. And to prevent from experiencing something that's vulnerable to you, you will hurry up and reject yourself first, just to avoid feeling rejection again. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's just how this works. So everything comes from love, and then go out, and then if you're doing the inner work, right? If you're doing the inner work, you're going to work with the ego in a sense to help get back to love. So that part of yourself, the protector part of yourself, let's call this the rejection part of yourself, right? You're going to start working with that part of yourself. And if you're in a relationship, you're going to start to evaluate. You're going to start to become self-aware of your defense mechanisms. So if your partner says, every time I try to tell you something, I feel like you deny me. I feel like you deflect what I'm trying to tell you. I feel like you don't take ownership. Do not continuously keep defending yourself, except what the person is trying to tell you, because they're trying to show you something that you're protecting yourself to actually be in love. You're protecting yourself to experience this. And by you protecting yourself and defending yourself, your partner's going to be like, all right, fucking, I'm done. So we cannot be in this space of like always constantly trying to protect ourselves. And that's something that just happens on a consistent basis. We're always constantly trying to protect ourselves. Once you realize that, okay, I need to address my defense mechanisms because this is destroying my relationship. It's not the ego that destroys the relationship. It's the behaviors that we carry that act out through the ego that destroys their relationships. So if you can address the behavior patterns and change the behavior patterns, create a habit, a new behavior pattern, not rejecting and self rejection. That is, you need to change these two behavior patterns and come up with a different, healthier behavior pattern to sustain the relationship. And then ultimately, you need to get to the core of why this defense mechanism was created in the first place. And so you figure out, oh, okay, I went through a rejection wound. That's why I'm having a defense mechanism to reject other people because I got rejected first. Once you peel that layer back, then you start to open up. You start to your heart was closed for so long. Now you start to open up and you start to allow. You start to have vulnerability again, right? A lot of relationships suffer because I'm gonna speak mainly on men. Men struggle with vulnerability. Women do too, but men do too as well. It's not more than women do. This is where we want to get to. All this shit before this is the blockers. These are the layers, these are the barriers. So we have to work backwards and get to the love. That's what the inner work is going inward. Okay. And so I'm gonna leave you guys on this note. Bear with me with this whole setup, you know what I'm saying? Because I got it on a notebook or whatever. But if you've been watching this video this whole entire time, I appreciate you. And just remember that relationships is not about happiness; it's about transformation. So if you looking to get in a relationship with someone, ask yourself, are you willing to transform with this person? Because that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to transform. You're not going to be this stagnant happiness and love and always constantly trying to look for that. You want to look at it like I am about to have a transformation. And change is good, okay? Don't always. That's another thing too. People are so attached to the identity that they don't want to let go of themselves because they'll lose themselves. And it's a silver line in between. Don't get me wrong. It's a thin line. Like you definitely want to keep your autonomy attached. You don't want to become completely codependent. But at the same time, you want to let go of that version of yourself that has gotten you to this point in your relationship, especially if it's not conducive to the relationship. Okay, so let me know if you guys, enjoy this video, and I can also make some other videos surrounding around this if you guys are interested in that. And on that note, I'm gonna let y'all go. Peace.